Before sunrise, the street is quiet, almost sleepy. Then a glow begins to rise from 3 enormous clay pits, each one wide enough to stand inside. In a few hours, these ovens will feed thousands of people. But right now, the entire day depends on fire, dough, and a small army of patient hands. The first glimpse of the operation appears in the heat itself. Inside a vast circular oven, orange flames twist upward like ribbons in slow motion. The clay walls absorb that heat and hold it, storing energy that will cook bread, meat, and pastry for hours. Around the pit, trays of ingredients wait their turn. Rows of skewers, bowls of minced meat, bright slices of lemon that will later cut through the richness of the feast. Nothing here is decorative. Every tray is part of a system that has to move quickly once the ovens are ready. A worker leans forward and presses a stuffed bread onto the hot inner wall of the tandoor. The motion is quick and confident. If the dough hesitates even slightly, gravity wins and the bread falls. Done correctly, the dough grips the clay instantly, where it will bake upright in the heat radiating from every direction. But long before that moment, fuel has to arrive. A truck rolls in and lifts its bed, releasing a cascade of dry branches and bark that tumble to the ground in a rough pile. This is not random firewood. Many traditional tandoor kitchens prefer bark like this because it burns steadily and produces a gentle, fragrant smoke. When arranged correctly, it creates strong heat without overwhelming the food. From a pit hidden beneath the pile, a worker climbs up through the bark like someone emerging from a nest of fuel. Another man shoulders a bundle of peeled bark and carries it toward the circular oven. The work looks casual from a distance, but there is quiet precision in every movement. At the rim of the pit, a man bends down and carefully arranges the bark along the inner wall. Instead of piling it randomly, he builds a tall ring of fuel. Small gaps are left between pieces. Those spaces control airflow, feeding oxygen into the flames. Experienced oven masters rarely measure anything. Years of practice teach them exactly how wide those gaps should be. Meanwhile, a doorway opens into the food preparation area, and the atmosphere shifts completely. Where the fire pit feels calm and methodical, the prep tables feel like a kitchen in full motion. Skewers line the tables in neat rows. Curious, meat and vegetables alternate along the metal rods. Lemon halves sit nearby, ready to brighten the finished plates. The camera glides across trays of colorful skewers and grilled meats waiting their turn. It is a preview of the feast to come, but the real foundation of this meal begins with dough. At another station, hands plunge into a deep blue tub filled with a massive batch of dough that is rested overnight. The texture is soft and elastic. The baker folds and presses it again and again, waking the gluten and bringing the mass back to life. With a slow lift, the worker pulls the entire sticky mound out of the tub. It stretches under its own weight before settling onto the table like a soft cloud. The dough is shaped into a long log, and a cook slices off a portion with practiced speed. Each piece is placed onto a digital scale. The small electronic beep becomes a rhythm guiding the entire station. Consistency matters here. Equal weight means the breads will bake evenly inside the intense heat of the tandoor. Freshly weighed dough balls are lined up in tidy rows, dozens of them forming a small landscape of pale rounds waiting to be transformed. At the rolling station, a cook spins a short rolling pin across a floured wooden board. The motion is quick and controlled. The dough turns beneath the pin, widening into a thin circle. A few swift passes, and the small ball becomes a smooth wrapper, large enough to hold a generous filling. Nearby, a large metal bowl holds the heart of the dish, a coarse mixture of minced meat and aromatics. A scoop of the mixture lands in the center of the dough. The mound is substantial. These are not delicate pastries meant for tiny bites. A gloved hand adds small white cloves on top of the filling. The sharp aroma will soften as the pastry bakes, releasing flavor into the meat. The dough folds over the filling and begins to take shape. The cook presses along the edges, sealing the ingredients inside a thick envelope of dough. Another station works even faster. A cook scoops a mound of minced meat onto another wrapper and piles it high in the center. The portion is generous, almost daring the dough to hold it. Then comes an extra surprise. A small egg is placed on top of the filling before the dough is closed. When baked, it will set gently inside the pastry, turning the center into a rich, layered bite. The cook gathers the edges of the dough and pleats them together. Each fold tightens the pouch until the filling is locked safely inside. Another parcel is sealed with a twist at the top, creating a sturdy dough pocket. Across the table, yet another worker spreads minced filling over a larger sheet of dough, preparing another variation. Once sealed, the dough parcels are rolled between the palms until they form smooth, compact shapes. The outside becomes taut, ready to withstand the blast of heat inside the oven.
The baker presses one of the rounds firmly against the wooden table, flattening it slightly and checking the surface. Texture matters. Too thick and the inside stays heavy. Too thin and the filling breaks through. Back outside, the fire finally roars to life. Inside the deep circular pit, flames surge upward, licking the clay walls with bright orange light. Heat ripples through the air. Two men carry a long wooden plank loaded with rows of prepared dough parcels. They move carefully, lowering the board onto a metal table where more workers can reach them. Another man walks down a corridor carrying an even longer board stacked with the stuffed breads. Each step is steady. One slip would scatter dozens of carefully prepared pastries. When the board reaches the main prep table, the worker slides it down smoothly. Now, the assembly area is crowded with rows of dough parcels waiting for their turn in the oven. At another corner of the kitchen, a massive wok begins to steam. A cook grips a long wooden paddle and stirs the contents in powerful circles. The food inside bubbles and releases clouds of fragrant vapor that drift into the air. Back at the tandoor, the real challenge begins. A worker climbs down into the giant oven pit. The space is smoky and intensely hot. Crouching low, he reaches toward the inner wall where the breads will bake. Inside the pit, he adjusts pieces that are already cooking, making sure they cling securely to the clay surface. At the rim above him, another baker kneels and lifts a fresh dough round. The platform around the pit allows him to lean inward without losing balance. One by one, the breads are pressed against the clay wall. Each piece sticks instantly, forming a growing ring of pastries inside the oven. Soon, the inner wall is dotted with rows of stuffed breads, their edges slightly open where the filling peeks through. Another baker quickly adds more pieces beside the others. The oven becomes a vertical bakery, its curved walls lined with dough slowly turning golden in the heat. The process repeats again and again. Kneeling at the rim, a worker presses more dough rounds onto the scorching clay surface. The speed is impressive. Each motion must be confident and accurate. Leaning deeper into the oven, the baker reaches further along the wall, filling every available space with bread. Meanwhile, another part of the pit is dedicated to grilling. A foil-covered tray is lifted over the smoky fire, shielding delicate ingredients from direct heat. Nearby, a rack packed with skewers sits above glowing coals. Fat from the meat begins to drip and sizzle, releasing bursts of aroma that mix with the smoke. A worker stirs the embers with a long tool, spreading the coals so the heat remains even beneath the skewers. Another adjustment pushes the grill rack slightly across the pit, repositioning it over a hotter section of coals. Walking along the curved rim of the pit, the cook watches the skewers carefully. Grilling here is not passive. Every minute requires attention. Rows of meat and vegetables begin to brown, their surfaces turning glossy as juices caramelize in the heat. Then a massive round metal lid slides across the grill. The heavy cover traps heat and smoke inside, transforming the pit into a sealed roasting chamber. Several workers push the lid further until the entire opening is covered. Inside, the skewers continue cooking in the concentrated warmth. When the pit opens again, smoke curls upward, revealing rows of skewered food cooking along the inner wall. The entire structure now works like a giant communal oven, producing bread, roasted meat, and smoky flavors all at once. Finally, one of the finished pastries reaches a metal plate. A knife slices through the golden crust, opening the stuffed bread. Steam escapes from the center, carrying the aroma of baked dough and rich filling. The pastry is cut into neat rectangular pieces, revealing layers of tender meat wrapped in soft bread that absorb the heat of the clay oven. After hours of fire, preparation, and careful timing, the result is simple but powerful. Warm bread, deeply flavored filling, and the unmistakable taste that only a clay oven can create. A clay oven like this turns simple ingredients into something that feeds an entire street. Fire, patience, and steady hands do the rest. And when the first bite finally breaks open that crisp crust, the long morning suddenly makes perfect sense.